I wanted to make a quick video because there's something very important you can learn out of the events that happened over the past weekend. It's January 6th for anybody who's watching at a future date, January 6th, 2026. Over the past weekend, the US decided to invade Venezuela and remove their leader, kidnap him, take him back to New York. So how does this affect markets? This is a key, important lesson and a key part of my trading philosophy that I want to share with you. I'm going to explain to you exactly why I feel this way. You see, these events happened over the weekend. This would be considered by anybody to be a major event. Technically, the US kind of declared war on Venezuela, even though they didn't officially declare war. They just removed his leader and took over, announced that they're now in charge of Venezuela. So, from a political standpoint, this is a complete disaster in the world scene. Everybody, like all the politicians, all the countries spoke out and said, you can't do something like this. The UN held an emergency council. It violates all sorts of treaties and UN laws and all sorts of international laws. You can't do something like this. But Trump did. So you would expect a market reaction, right? Right? No, nothing happened. The market opened on Monday completely flat. And here's what I would have been looking for. I would have been looking for at least volatility expansion. If you're not familiar with the VIX index, it basically measures how expensive the price of options are on the SPX. We didn't get a move on the VIX. So historically, you would have seen at least a 3, 4, 5 point move on the VIX, some sort of volatility expansion. Nothing. So on Monday, the news starts and everybody is explaining why. Why did nothing happen? What's the significance of the events? And they're all coming up with a narrative. But the fact is, the market didn't move. It probably should have based on historical data, based on what historically would have done. You would have seen the SPX open down and the Qs open down, and you would have seen the VIX open up on Monday morning. But it didn't. And the narrative that's painted is that, well, everybody's really bullish. Well, it doesn't matter because AI is coming. So we're all really, really bullish. And all investors in 2026 are just focused on AI. Some of the other narratives were that it was very surgical. It was precision. In 2 hours, 2.5 hours, it was just over, and that was it. So there's another narrative to explain why the market didn't even react, didn't bat an eyelash to it. But here's what I want you to internalize. And I don't say a lot of things dogmatically in the market about the way other people should feel, but if you're going to take a page from my book, take this page. This is my market philosophy. You do not know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And all of the people on the newsreels and everybody that's talking about it and explaining why it happened, they did not know it was going to happen. And I promise you that if the market had opened up 5% down, and the VIX had opened on Monday with a 3, 4, 5 point move up, they would have been explaining it from a completely different angle because their job is to create a narrative based on what's already happened to try to explain what happened. But you as a trader need to get very comfortable with the fact that we don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know that the US was going to invade Venezuela and kidnap their leader, and we did not know that the market was not going to react to it. We don't know, and this is a prime example of where anybody in their right mind would have thought that the market would have reacted to it in some way, and it did not. So I wanted to draw your attention to this because this is how I built my trading strategies. I built them based on a belief that we never know what's going to happen. Is there times when maybe I'm pretty confident? Yes, there's definitely times when I'm confident. So 2024 fall, winter of 2024 was incredibly bullish. There was so much bullish anticipation for Trump getting in as president for his second term. Towards the end of 2024 and beginning of 2025, the charts showed me something that you cannot not listen to. The chart started to get toppy. So we had all this bullish move up. Then the SPX chart got very toppy to in January or early 2025. We had these events. We had the DeepSeek event, if you remember. We had a bunch of events like that, right, one after another, where the market reacted very strongly to those events. So what the chart told me is we had a big bullish anticipation, then we had topping action, and then we had these events where the market proved that it wanted to react to the downside. It was trying to react to the downside. So it was fairly easy to see that we had all this bullish anticipation with Trump coming in, and then the market wanted to see that Trump was actually following through with that. Well, Trump didn't care. Trump just announced tariffs on the entire world. So as soon as he did that, based on the chart, based on the bullish anticipation, and then the tariffs were not a follow through, I was really confident that we were going to go into a downturn. And most people were. I mean, this was not a surprise, but this is an example of a time when I was very confident about something. And I might note and add that it wasn't tariffs specifically, it was the charts, the bullish anticipation, and then the lack of follow through. Tariffs were actually just a narrative. Yes, I understand that, functionally, tariffs were the thing that made the market go down, but the charts and all of the other information came together for me to have a fairly strong thesis on what was about to happen. And so I did trade it well. I traded it very, very well, but that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time you get these little events like what happened last weekend where I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. And so I've built my trading strategy around that philosophy that I don't know what's going to happen. And it works very, very well because you need to get to the level in understanding news and macro to understand that it's just another data point. It's just another indicator. It's not 100% reliable, and often it's a lagging indicator. So, really, to answer the fundamental question, why did the market not react? Well, there's a lot of reasons that are being thrown out there, but the truth is, I don't really know, and I don't really care why the market didn't react. It didn't react, it was a failed event. End of story. We move on. By trying to piece it together after the fact and try to understand why the move it didn't happen or why the market did or did not react in a certain way, that's not going to help you next time. So that I think is the key thing that another key thing that I want to convey to you is that by trying to pick apart what happened last weekend or didn't happen last weekend and how it affected the markets, it's not going to help you next time an event like this happens because the market can react in a completely different way the next time. So what I want you to take away from this video is that we can't know what's going to happen next in markets. And if we really stop and think about it, that's impossible. So I kind of want to let you off the hook a little bit. You don't need to get super into the news and really try and figure out what happened this time so that we can predict what's going to happen next time. The point is we can't predict what's going to happen next time, but that doesn't mean we can't have success with trading. It's just that that's not the way that we do it. And when people say you can't predict markets, this is what they mean. I'm explaining to you exactly what we mean by you can't predict markets. But that doesn't mean you can't have success trading. So stick with me here on this channel. Comment, like, subscribe. I realize this is possibly going to be a little bit of a controversial subject, but I stand beside it 100%. My experience has told me time and time again, you cannot predict what's going to happen in markets. But like I said, stick with me here on this YouTube channel, and I will show you what does work in developing a trading strategy. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.